South Africa survived day one of the second test between against New Zealand, and quite a bit to talk about here, guys. I think having watched this is it's seeming like a very good test match so far. It looks like there's going to be a contest on our hands based on what we saw on day one. But there are a couple of things that we need to discuss on today's show, of course. Certain decisions that were made by the coach were quite bold and brave. And I think that they need to be spoken about because, I mean, ultimately, you never know with Test cricket until both teams bat and both teams bowl, um, whether decisions are correct or whether the decisions are wrong. I mean, a lot of us will say before a match already negativities are so spiraling around based on the decisions that were made in this particular test match. But at the moment, so far so good for South Africa, I would say. In a good position after being in a bad position uh, it was after day one. We have to give the credit to some of the players here that have fought and that have put in a shift for the coach and for their teammates. So currently, South Africa in a decent position, I would say, and New Zealand have towards the end, obviously toiled away, you could say, towards the end of this match after being on top in various situations of the match. But before we get going today with today's review, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. We're not far away, so please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And then I'd like you guys to also please get involved with the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Business Corner. It's a way for businesses and entrepreneurs and startups to market their business effectively and affordably to a cricket audience. But we also give tips to people that don't want to market to a cricket audience. So please get involved over here with our Business Corner. I think it's a very important venture that we are currently on. We're trying to build our list of clients currently. So please send this to as many people as possible that you know, whether you are close with them or not. I think if this is a way of helping your fellow colleagues, your family members, or your friends, or someone that you maybe know, and giving them a viable option in this digital marketing age that we live in where things are very expensive. So we are trying to do our bit of good by giving back to businesses in South Africa and to small businesses in South Africa, and we're trying to be the team that we would have needed when we started off. So this is what we are trying to do for others right now. So please get involved with our Business Corner as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm actually looking forward to discussing this on a Tuesday morning. So let's get into it. A very good morning and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South Africa versus New Zealand, second test, day one. So, what has happened? Let's start off with the toss. South Africa won the toss. And when you're in a situation like you are, where you've lost the first test so badly, the best thing for you to do to make sure that you can recover from a defeat like that is to win the toss first. And South Africa did that, at least. And they made quite a decision that was frowned upon by many. by the pundits. I saw some fans also ask the same question: why are we batting first? Now, I think where we need to start is with what was the team lineup, because that also determines what you're going to do on the day, besides the conditions now, um, from that perspective. Um, so, Coach Shukri decided to shake things up after that first test. He was obviously very irritated with that first test, and he went for two spinners, and he dropped Eddie Moore for Clyde Fontaine at the top of the order. Now, the first decision didn't go to plan. I'm actually extremely disappointed with Clyde Fontaine in this match. He's getting an opportunity up the order. I think he's only opened twice in his career in first class cricket for the Titans. So it was a very bold move to move him up the order. Coach Shukri obviously backed his technique and thought that he could do the job. Otherwise, he wouldn't have obviously made the decision. And first up, first ball, he plays a very loose shot, um, a very loose drive in his first delivery on a green wicket, where the ball is moving around a bit and it's swinging. I thought it was a shocking decision to make in that circumstances. You know that this wicket, especially on day one in the first hour, you need to kind of bide your time in the middle and see off the ball, see off that first hour. But his captain on the other end was showing him what to do: leave the ball when it's outside off, block the ball that is coming in, and try and get those singles to rotate the strike or push and hit the bad deliveries away. He went out and swung hard at the ball first delivery. Now, I'm sure that Coach Shukri would have probably had words with the batters and telling them to play a little bit more positive against this New Zealand attack and try not to over respect them, because what ends up happening when you do that as well is you start batting yourself into a hole if you kind of over respect the opposition. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not saying disrespect them by trying to hit every single ball, but find ways to score and back your game in that situations. And I think Rwanda Swart and Neil Brandt, I mean, not Rwanda Swart, sorry, I'll get to him. Reina van Tonde and Neil Brandt did that extremely well. At least for the first 35 minutes, they did their job by leaving well, hitting the bad balls, and also rotating the strike when need be. But the defense was really good. I have to say that Neil Brandt was very unlucky. The ball that came in uh, could have easily gone over the stumps, and it nipped in quite well. Uh, and that is something that I that I don't necessarily blame the batter for. I think that it was a good delivery, that we can put that down to being a good delivery. Uh, the decision, obviously, to open with Clyde Fontaine is something that I probably wouldn't have done, me personally. But as you can say, I'm not the coach, but that's definitely on the coach. It was his decision to do that. I would have probably given Eddie Moore another shot. I think he's a bit unlucky to be dropped. It's a bit harsh to drop him. But maybe the coach saw something that I didn't see, or maybe there was a conversation that happened behind the scenes that I maybe don't know of. But I thought that was a little bit harsh. Yes, Eddie Moore did not look good at all in that first test. He did look all over the place in that first test in both innings. Didn't look very comfortable at the crease. But with that first class record, I would give him another go. And I don't know. It was a very bold decision, I think, to play Clyde Fontaine as an opener in this particular match, particularly because he's barely opened at first class level. And with a gap between Test cricket and first class cricket, that is obviously an extremely difficult task to ask for. But then on the flip side again, the shot that was played by the batter, that's on him. That's on the player. I mean, that there's no way you can give instruct. I don't think that was an instruction from the coach. The way he batted and the approach. It was. I don't know what went through his head there, because I mean, I've watched him bat and that's not how he bats. So it was a bit of a strange one. But Reiner van Tonde and Neil Brandt were very good in the middle together, I would say. They scored a partnership of 40, survived about 12.2 overs before Neil Brandt lost his wicket, quite unluckily, I would say, LBW. 25 of 38 balls. He looked very solid, and it's very unlucky for him because he was looking really good, and we needed a good start. That that was very important, and I really thought we were going to get it with Neil Brandt and Reiner van Tonde in the middle. Van Tonde also looked very good for his 32 of 71, but once again, it's that lack of concentration just before the break, we lose a wicket. And the way in which we lost the wicket, Reinhard van Tonder is hanging his bat out there. Uh, it was a poor execution as well. He could have just left it. There was no need to play at it. So just a lapse of concentration over there, or maybe a little bit of nerves going into the lunch break after doing all the hard yards and looking very solid at the crease. I've been impressed with Reinhard van Tonder's approach and how solid he is looking in Test cricket. I think a couple of more chances at the national level for SAA, etc. And there's definitely a Test player in there. I have to say that. So he's had a few good starts in this now, two good starts, I would say, in the Test arena, but just losing his wicket at the worst possible time. But credit to him. Then Zubair Hamza came out to the middle after Neil Brandt lost his wicket, and Neil Brandt and Zubair Hamza did okay to get South Africa to 63. But I was hoping that they would both be there until after lunch, and that was unfortunate that didn't happen. Obviously, Reina van Toende losing his wicket, and then after lunch, Zubair Hamza batted himself into a hole. I mean, I think again in this particular case, we have to be critical on the guys that are more experienced, and that's the case here over here. He was overly defensive, I feel. Now, some people may say, "Oh no, but Khalid, you're gonna say he must be more attacking," and he tried, and then he went out. I don't think that was the case at all. The shot he went out to was once again a very poor shot. Absolutely no need to try and be that expansive against a spinner coming in when there was a bit of turn. We might have missed a trick here, guys. Maybe as pundits and as a fan base here, but pundits on air, because there's a little bit of turn in this wicket. Ravindra was getting some purchase on the surface. So South Africa has two spinners, so I'm hoping that this plan works out and then we can bat out majority of tomorrow. And when you pick two spinners, you almost have to. Your hands almost forced. You have to bat first. You have to take the game deep and bat and hold your spinners when the pitch is a little bit more when the pitch is a little bit more is a little older. But throwing the wicket away like that, Zubair Hamza, I mean, that's very, very disappointing. And I feel it's almost like his his chance of trying to play Test cricket again is slipping away slowly. Um, he's now thrown his wicket on every single occasion that he's batted now against New Zealand, having experience in the country, having played there. Okay, yes, it's only one test, but still experience nonetheless. And with the amount of and the quality of player that we have here, having played for the Proteas already, I think that he should get some scrutiny over here, as well as Keegan Peterson. Keegan Peterson also beating and playing, I would say, overcommitting to a shot, stepping way too far out of his crease, trying to play at a ball and reach for a ball. It's just not what we needed after we just lost a wicket. So I would say there's a lot of scrutiny on those two, I would say. Um, and David Bedingham, unorthodox in the way in his approach today, a little bit, I would say, a little bit more cautious, and very unlucky to lose his wicket as well. I mean, what is the chances of that ball not hitting the ground? It hit his foot and then went straight to the fielder. So I do feel he was a little bit too cautious against the spinner, against Ravindra. He could have been a little bit more positive against him, perhaps, and that might have saved him. But he scored 39 today, got a start, and then went out. But today's praise 100% has to go to RUAN and Sean van Berg. Sean van Berg coming out, debut at 37. Credit to the coach for putting him out there, because this guy is going to fight and we know him to be that type of player. And if he can stick around with RUAN, who knows where these two can go and take the team. At least they've survived the day without losing another. I think at 22-20 for 6, South Africa should be relatively happy. And let's see if we can pile on more runs tomorrow. That's going to be the main aim, is how long can we survive. Dane Pitt can also bat a bit. So we could really frustrate New Zealand here and really tire out those bowlers in the middle and in the field. It is quite hot there in New Zealand. So I think we can really do our job there by putting pressure on them from that perspective. A positive thing for South Africa has to be Rachin Ravindra taking 3 for 33. That means that there is something in the wicket besides the poor shots that South Africa played against him. There is a little bit in this wicket for the spinners, and we've selected 2 specialist spinners, and Sean van Berg has a little bit of mystery. So that might aid South Africa as this wicket tires out. I'm predicting that tomorrow the pitch will dry out a bit and be a little bit easier to bat on. So RUAN, come on, boy. Do us proud here and take it further. I mean, he's currently on 55 of 135 balls, and I don't think he's playing a particular style here. He's just trusting his game and trusting himself and the shot selections that he's playing, and he's trusting his game, and it's worked for him so far. So well done to him. A maiden half century, and fighting for his team and his country. At least we're in a lot better position than we in this match than we were in the first match. So that's something that we can be relatively happy about. But something again that I'm disappointed with is I know these players are better than that, and especially when they are losing their wickets because of their own misfortunes and their own decisions, bad decisions that they are making, poor shot selections that could have been avoided. So that's the summary of today, and what has taken place in the match. And I'm hoping that tomorrow we will see these 2 batters frustrate New Zealand a lot more and put them under pressure. I think that the approach should have been a little bit more aggressive against the spinner. I would say not reckless, but a little bit more aggressive. I mean, Ravindra went for 3 maidens overs. They kind of just blocked him out and allowed him to get a foothold in the match, and then playing bad shots to him as well to give him to gift him those wickets. So yeah, that's something that we didn't do really well today, and that's what I'm disappointed about. It's because we know that these players are better than what they are displaying in the middle over there. At least there might be a second innings for them to show what to rectify their wrongs, and let's see if they can do so. Priyanshu saying, why Keegan playing at 5? He should play at 3 or 4. Last time he performed at number 3 in South Africa versus India, because I don't think that Coach Shukri sees him there long term. He sees Keegan Peterson rather at the number 5 position. But regardless, it should be easier for him to bat at 5 than at 3. So, unfortunately, the situation for Keegan Peterson and Zubair Hamza, particularly, the destiny is in their own hands at the moment. Uh, they had an opportunity in this series to really put up their hands and show Coach Shukri that they deserve to be in that first 11, or in and amongst that first 11. And so far, they haven't necessarily proven that they do deserve to be there so far. Um, and these type of scenarios and situations are when you are really telling for the coach, because when your team's under pressure, struggling, you want your senior players or your more experienced players to step up. And if you want to play for in Test cricket, this is the perfect scenario for them to have stepped up, because the team is new, and there's an opportunity for you to save your team here, and be a hero in the side. And both players have not impressed with regards to the way they've approached their innings and ended their innings. The Rangers is not the best first day, but I'm quite content from what I've seen so far. Wesley Maestri says, let's be honest, there is nothing special about that New Zealand attack. We lost wickets to a part-time spinner. We're our own enemies in this particular in both matches. We have been our own enemies. We've thrown our wickets away cheaply, and that's the last thing. That's the worst thing that you can possibly do if you already have the disadvantage in a match. Like I said, I would be okay if players lost their wickets to good deliveries, like Neil Branty today, like David Bedingham kind of was unlucky. But when you throw your wicket away and you make silly decisions at the crease, particularly when you have games behind your name, and you have a lot of first class experience and you have international experience, and you make poor decisions like that, that can only be an alarm bell for the coach when it comes to picking his next Test 11 or his Test squad. So you don't expect those players to make those decisions. You expect the newer guys, the debutants, maybe to make those decisions. So yeah, not a good look for both of those players. Lorenzo, the decision to let Clyde open is 100% on Shukri. He does not even open at first class level, but whether people like it or not, Clyde is unfortunately not of the level for Test cricket. Mr. TXZ says, might be premature, but have been really impressed with the fight shown by Rwanda SWART this series. I think he definitely needs games with our first choice Test side. He could be a valuable asset. He really could be, particularly as a batter. Um, in the bowling department, it's a pity that he's so slow, but he would he could play a handy role in the Test side if we are looking for that burst. If we're looking to play 7 batters, for example. But having Marco Janssen and having Gerald Coetzee, I think at 7 and 8, that's a good option to have. But maybe in certain games, you could perhaps play Rwanda Swat. He's giving the coach something to think about, definitely. I mean, to score your maiden half century against New Zealand in New Zealand is a is a massive achievement, especially when your team is in trouble. And kudos to him. Hats off to him. He's been really good in this match so far, and let's see how far he can take it. Wesley saying dropping more was super harsh, and surely Peterson has played his last test now. Hamza's shot selection was shocking as well. Lorenzo says I can see Clyde doing well in white ball stuff for yesterday. Yes, yeah, dropping more was kind of strange. Very impressed with Rwanda Swat, says Lorenzo. Wesley says Clairefontaine averages 19 and a strike rate of 78 in the state cricket and 20 at a strike rate of 115. He's not international quality. This was a job for the boys' selection. Um, I also don't think there were many options experienced options to pick from a wicket keeper's batter's perspective, and they went with this decision. Um, and it must be because of Coach Shukri, what Coach Shukri knows about Clyde Fontaine. I was a bit puzzled by the selection as well, to an extent. But when I looked around the domestic scene for the experienced guys that are batters, other than Rudy second, I didn't see anybody else that could have been selected, because the other options are either in their first seasons or aren't ready for Test cricket. Like their technique isn't solid. Like Clive Fontaine does have a good technique, and he should be able to handle Test cricket from a technical perspective, but it's mental for him. I think that's the problem here, and perhaps he's just not mentally ready for this arena. In the innings that he's played so far, it seems to be the case. Gaurav says all the plays through the wickets away. It's good. All the plays through their wicket. It's good batting. Huh? Players getting start and throwing wickets easily. Yeah, it's bad. Big up to SWAT showing composure in a tough situation. Van Berg at 37 looks impressive. He must be the oldest debutant since Omar Henry. Lorenzo says so for our Brandt, Bedingham, and the SWAT as being our most impressive players on the tour. Um, I don't think I would say Brandt yet. I think I wanted to see more with him with the bat. I know he got six for with the ball, but I would like to see more from him with the bat. Bedingham and the SWAT definitely I agree with. They've been the most impressive for me too so far on this tour. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting day too. Let's see how far they can take it. Once again, I think they need to just slow themselves down a bit and kind of see off that first 30 minutes tomorrow. It's about batting as long as possible. I think that's the case here. We need to drain the New Zealand team, their bowlers particularly, because a lot of them are not youngsters necessarily. So you want them to bat to bowl as long as possible in that field and wear them out, and then bat until the pitch is a little bit older, so that our spinners can come into play when we go bowl. So big task on the hands for Sean van Berg. I would say Ruan de Swart as well as Dane Piet when he comes into bat. Wesley says one thing I don't understand about Hamza. If your goal is to take the attack to the opposition, your strike rate should reflect that. Hamza has been absorbing dot balls, then gets out. It shows no common sense. Yes, and that's why I'm so irritated, because it's almost like a frustrated shot, like out of nowhere. Like, if you're going to take that approach, then take that approach and just bat as long as you can. If that's the approach you're going to take, then take that approach. But the shots that he's playing to try and get runs are strange to me, because you can't. It's either end of the spectrum. It's like extremes. It's two extremes. You at the one end you're soaking up 90 deliveries, but then on the other side you're trying a expansive sweep slog. So like it's completely contradictory, the approach to the execution, and I mean it's just poor ultimately. Khalid, I saw a stat on Crick Info since 2020 from batting positions 3 to 5. Our batsman averaged 28 um, cumulatively, the second worst amongst all 12 destinations. Wow, that's crazy. Lorenzo says KP also needs to get a serious grip. This is definitely not good enough from him. He is on borrowed time, 100%. Kani says, I don't see KP playing the next test series if he fail again. Can't keep based on what he did only one series. Well, he won't because David Bellingham's outperforming him by far. David Bellingham is looking a lot more solid, a lot more comfortable, a lot more um, a lot more settled in with his style and his technique and his style of play. Kani saying Ruan scored 34, not out in the first test as well. If he scored 100 tomorrow, they might retain him in the main squad as well. I mean, let's hope. Let's hope for that because he's playing really well in this match. Lorenzo says, I can also see Brandt playing a role as a spinning all-rounder in the main test side, especially when you don't want to play a frontline spinner in SA. He can also play a role in the subcontinent. That's a fair point. Wesley says, yeah, really upset with Keegan Peterson. It's not professional. Gaurav says it's good pitch to bat, yet players aren't doing well. Kani says Khalid pitch looks good. Williamson double ton loading. The pitch does look good. The ball's coming onto the bat quite well, and that's why I get so irritated. Remember when people here said Fortain was better than Oshile? Um, I wouldn't say better than Klashile, but more experienced than Klashile. Um, Klashile hasn't really looked good over the last after his first season. There's still a hell of a lot that he must learn about the first class game, I think, and develop. Open with Van Tonda, second innings and bat for Tain in his normal position. Been really disappointing from Clad. Hope he comes good second innings. He doesn't look confident at all. With how vicious Shukri was with Rickleton, I want to see how it treats the Skypey situation, as things can't continue like this. One good serious series against India 3 years ago can't still carry you in 2024. It's a fair point. Chatil says these guys are losing wickets to Ravindra and Santner. Shocking batting. Ravindra Santner have picked like 5 wickets in New Zealand before the series and previous 5 years. Yeah, I'm particularly upset about the way they lost their wickets. There was no need to give Ravindra so much respect. He should have been one of the bowlers that they picked to attack. In my opinion, I think they should have chosen to go after him and as well as the new guy, which they did. The new guy um, um, was a little bit targeted. O'Rourke, he was the most expensive out of all the bowlers. Um, so yeah, I just think it was poor shot selection against Ravindra. Van Berg outbatted Hamza, KP, and Brandt, and Van Berg is looking good in the middle as well. I hope that he can stick around with Rwanda Swart and see how far the two of them can take it. Um, so yeah, this wicket is a good batting surface. There were no demons in the wicket. Uh, Although there was more swing this morning than there was in the first test, I think our batters actually saw that off quite well. And that's what frustrates me is because they do so well to get themselves into the position and then they throw the wicket away. So it is quite terrible from that perspective that that's happening consistently. Uh, but you can kind of expect that from the newer guys. But the more experienced guys, I don't think there's any excuse for that. I think it was terrible from that perspective. Um, is Mapumwana the only non-capped player that did not make his debut? Yeah. Yes, he is. He's the only player that didn't make his debut now. So anyway, guys, that's the why did McLaren didn't get a chance? I don't know why he didn't get a chance. It's almost like the first test team should have played here, and that's what people thought before the match. And this team should have played in the first test. But this might work in Coach Shukri's favor. He might see something that we don't know. He's quite a good tactician, and he has a very good cricketing brain, of course. So he might have seen something that we maybe don't know. Um, yeah, it was a bit shocking that Moore was dropped after one game. Um, I would have probably gone, given him another opportunity. I think it was quite harsh to drop him. Um, yeah, especially for someone that's not comfortable opening the batting. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell for all future videos. Please, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so please go ahead and do so straight away. Um, I will be back again tomorrow with another review show directly after the day's play. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Uh, let's hope that South Africa can really take things forward tomorrow and bat a lot deeper into the day and put the pressure on New Zealand and allow them to run around in the field a bit and tire them out. And let's hope that the pitch also dries up a bit and will have something in it for the spinners. Um, there's a particular test match a couple of years ago where South Africa uh, won the match, actually choosing to bat first. And Keshav Maharaj like dominated the game with the ball. So perhaps they've taken some of that knowledge and hoping that they can channel some of that energy into this particular match. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great day, everyone. Peace out.